Mr. Mfume from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the ranking member for getting us to this point. Mr. Dejoy, good to see you again. I think the first time we sat across from one another like this was 4 years ago. And one of the colleagues on the committee that day said, why does he want this job? I didn't have an answer then. I really don't have an answer now, except that if you believe you can do something, you try to do it, and if you can't, you fail, and everything else takes care of itself. I was the first one to call for your resignation 4 years ago, and your supporters were the first to call for my resignation. So the fact that we're still here, I think, says something. I don't know what it says, but we're here. Couple quick things. Your very first predecessor, Benjamin Franklin, was the first postmaster. He said in his first comments to the country that when the post offices are closed, people will suffer. It was true then, it's true now, and remarkably, over all those many years, the Postal Service has retained a 90% approval rating. That's according to the last Pew poll, which was done in 2020. Unfortunately, since then, that rating or favorability rating has declined somewhat. And, you know, it's interesting that the post office is actually older than the country, 1775. So what you hear today, and I think what you heard over on the Senate side the other day, is an effort for a lot of representatives and I guess senators to express what we hear a lot of times and what we try to do about it when we get an opportunity to talk to you. Now, I didn't come here with gloom and doom. I want to say that I've been very active in interacting with your office. Whenever we have a problem, I'm on the phone. I've got a staff person. We've got letters going out. And fortunately, we got a real good postmaster for the city of Baltimore, LaGreta Goodwin. Don't know if you know her or not. She's doing a hell of a job, conscientious, very responsive, and tries every day not to be perfect, but to help us in that city get closer to perfection. I mean, they've got and had several post office job fairs over the summer. There's a lot of interaction. There's an actual council that involves local and private business and government that she heads up that I think is the right way to go. It's the right model. Let me just say that. One thing that I want to talk about that I absolutely support, and then I've got several questions that I'm going to ask that you find a way to have someone on your staff to get back to me about, because there's not enough time in these short windows to answer difficult questions. But I want to make sure that I'm on the record again that I support the conversion to electronic vehicles. I mean, we've got 230,000 postal vehicles. And I believe, because of the carbon footprint that those vehicles alone are responsible for, that we have an obligation as a government to try to find a way to reduce emissions. Now, I don't force that on anybody. I think the government is wrong when it mandates that you, him, and her, as consumers, have to buy electronic vehicles. I would never do that. But the government is a consumer. So yes, I think the government has a larger responsibility, which is why that $3 billion was included in the Inflation Reduction Act, so that you would have the money to be able to start the conversions. And whether it's 90% or 70%, as was argued earlier, I think that's up to you with the direction of Congress. And one of the things you didn't say was that you started out the way we mandated, and then we said, no, change this, and how come you're not doing that? So there's a lot of finger pointing going around. I just want, for the record, to know that these vehicles are important, and I don't know how you undo contracts. I wouldn't want to be in your position where you've let so many contracts and now people are telling you to go and change those. If you, sir, could do me a favor and get back to me on 3 issues that, as I said, we don't have time for now, unfortunately. Robberies. I am so sick and tired of postal delivery persons being robbed at gunpoint and knife point, being chased with bats, because we've got fools and clowns out here who are breaking the law, who want the arrow key. because they know if they get the arrow key, they can open all these multi-boxes and they can steal. They steal from the poor, they go to high-end communities, they steal, and they have no concern for the life or the safety of those postal delivery persons, men and women that have been beat up and assaulted across this country. And what concerns me is that it's increasing. I'm also concerned about the increase in the forever stamp, because that stamp started out as a way of people to be able to save money. You purchase at this price, it's good forever, and you are free of the price increases that tend to come about in the interim. So it's very concerning, particularly since we've had 6 increases in 2 years. And the final thing that I really would hope that I can get some response, but also kind of cooperation with myself and maybe with other members of Congress, are these thefts that occur that affect senior citizens, where their Social Security checks are being stolen, where their mail is being delivered late, when they respond to pay a bill and charged a late fee, not because they've done anything at all, but because of the delivery systems back and forth, and the theft of medicine that so many senior citizens rely on through the mail. Those are important issues that I would like to believe affect all of us. I know they're on your desk. Your staff has been fortunate in I think, finding a way to get back to myself and others with at least some semblance of what's going on. And so all that you hear today being expressed from all of us is a lot of frustration, but there are things that are to be pointed to, as I did a moment ago, that where there is progress, that progress ought to be highlighted. So I don't know if we'll see each other 4 years again from now, sitting across like this, or if that things may have changed. But I do want to thank you for coming here, and I get back to that original question, why does he want this job? Because I remembered what it was like 4 years ago when you walked in the door, and you're going to catch hell because you're not God and you can't fix everything overnight. But understand that the frustrations are real frustrations from the people on this committee, Democrats and Republicans, who want to get back to that 90% approval rating when Americans trusted the Postal Service more than any other fixture of government. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the time.